mood is so devotional and intimate that nothing prepares us for the surprise Stravinsky has in store. He's going to reveal to us the power of the whole belief system that generates this melody by having it played by the full forces of the orchestra. People just didn't know how to take the dancing they saw to this, which wasn't people jumping around and flying around the stage, but almost entirely down here in contact with the floor. Now, the dance itself showed patterns of dancers, teams of dancers moving in different patterns. And in very much the same way, there are teams of instruments who play in the orchestra, and the alternation of these teams and the splitting up of these teams to form and reform is a major way that the piece keeps its excitement going.
There's this constant ballet that's going on stage of this player plays and this player plays, and it fits in, and then we have more players together, and then some of them go away.
There are teams in the orchestra, here all competing for our attention. The strings who keep up the chunga, chunga, chunga of the basic rhythm. The high trumpets and horns who call back and forth to one another. The woodwinds who chirp a happy tune. Now, sometimes these teams alternate, but sometimes the teams keep playing until they create a huge, big pileup of sound in which no one's willing to stop or give in to anyone else. But the point of this whole passage is sensory overload until the conflict takes us to complete burnout. There's a couple of moments of silence, a few odd noises, and then the bass drum catapults the whole orchestra to the last section of part one, the dance to the earth.
At the end of the first part, there's a bass drum solo that is used for every audition that a percussionist has to take, because it's the first time the bass drum was used in this way as a solo instrument. What makes this piece stand apart from anything written before is that the rawness and vitalness of the rhythmic elements.
What's so amazing about this dance to the earth is that there really are no themes here. It's all just a bunch of rhythmic urges that have been set down into different parts of the orchestra. In the bass line, there's a continuous, spasmodic, crescendoing ostinato.
You have this, it's really exciting. We often are playing parts that are very rhythmic, very aggressive, with a lot of energy and short notes, which is where I think Stravinsky just whips the piece up into this just massive frenzy of energy.
And then still over that unifying ostinato, different teams come in with their own particular rhythm, the violas and the horns playing triplets. Trumpets and the violins playing quadruplets. Everything drives on, building and layering until it gets so crazy, it just can't be sustained. The rest of the band gives up with a bunch of whoops and shrieks. Party's over, blackout. We're backstage at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées in one of the studios where Nijinsky choreographed and rehearsed the Rite of Spring. So interesting that Nijinsky, the romantic dancer par excellence, known for his amazing leaps and solos, should have become interested in a kind of dance which was focused toward the earth, toward the floor. The movements of this dance were largely turned out and abstracted in a way that was absolutely against the romantic tradition from which he had come. He also was fascinated by the movements of crowds and made abstract figures in the movements of these large groups. None of these things would have been expected by that first night audience.
I can't help but think about traditional ballet and how the works of Stravinsky must have changed ballet tremendously from the, beautiful little classical ballets to something much sexier and earthier.
Now, another thing that that first night audience expected to see, or certainly hoped to see, was the sight of, or at least the outline of, beautiful human bodies. After all, in classical ballet, that's what all those tutus and tights are designed to show off. But not in this ballet. Rerich and Stravinsky had based it, after all, on primitive village life. So the bodies were all completely covered over from head to toe. Even the legs were wrapped with heavy swaddling and straps. And the women were wearing these long, intricate wigs. Very, very little was on view. This, plus the bizarre choreography, is what I think caused a lot of the ruckus on that opening night. It was all so bizarre and strange. It's no wonder that when the dancers assumed their famous first position, someone in the audience said, "For God's sake, call a dentist." The music at the beginning of Part 2 is meant to be hypnotic, ritualistic, leading us into the mood which will allow the chosen maiden to ultimately sacrifice herself. It's this which is nearly continuous in the whole first part of this movement. It's harmonized this way, and made still even more amazing by the out there D minor harmony of the horns being added. Once again, we're in that uncanny world for which there was no precedent. Now, against this mysterious landscape, Stravinsky introduces another folkloric melody, but he just gives it to us one bar at a time. The first time we hear it, it's played by strings playing in unison harmonics. And that's all we hear. Next time we hear a bit more of it. Solo violin and alto flute give us even more a glimpse of it.